After 2 long years, we finally get to enjoy a summer with eased COVID-19 restrictions. But with the sweltering weather comes a number of diseases we need to protect ourselves from. For example, a heat stroke is a potentially fatal condition that can happen when you spend too many hours under the sun. On the program today, we'll talk more about these heat-related illnesses, their warning signs, and how best to prevent as well as treat them. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. The Department of Health warns against a number of conditions amid the rising temperatures this summer season. Our guests are here today to tell us how we can protect ourselves and our families against them, and how we can spend our summer days safe as well as healthy. With us is Dr. Helen Ong Garcia. She's a cardiologist from St. Luke's Medical Center Global and Quezon City. Also with us is Dr. Joanne Liboon. She's a family medicine specialist from the Ala Valley Medical Center Incorporated. Now, more and more people are spending their days outdoors as COVID-19 cases decrease just in time for the summer season. But this also means that people are more vulnerable to some heat-related illnesses. Now, I'd like to start the discussion with Dr. Helen. When it comes to the summertime, obviously heat will be the factor that will make people more at risk for some of these conditions. One of these is, of course, heat exhaustion. Now, when it comes to heat exhaustion, some people like to exercise, some people like to sweat it out, and they get tired. Is this the same as heat exhaustion?
The body has a natural way of what we call thermal regulating. So if you're healthy, you're able to actually put in enough fluids versus what's going out. You should not actually experience heat exhaustion. But heat exhaustion, as the word is exceeding what is normal. So there should be an imbalance that occurred that caused you to lose a lot of water and salt, making you do excessive sweating, and exercise could do that. And there are other comorbids that could actually predispose you to that. So heat exhaustion is not a natural sweating mechanism. It's an extreme sweating mechanism due to the hot weather.
It's good that you mentioned water and salt. How are these two elements? A lot of people are aware about water, but how is salt integral in the thermoregulation of a person?
People always think that sweat is water alone. When you sweat, several elements, one of them is commonly salt, do come out, sometimes potassium, and water is actually part of sweat. So excessive release of water, salt, and even some of the other minerals without replacement actually cause an imbalance that could actually cause heat exhaustion.
Dr. Joanne, when it comes to the summertime, obviously the heat is greater at this time of year. But is the sun the factor here? Or can people undergo these conditions, heat exhaustion, and worse, of course, heat stroke, even if they are not exposed to the sun?
Additional with the heat exhaustion, it develops over several days pwede because of the exposure, too much exposure sa sun. Isa pa rin yung unbalanced replacement of the the fluid loss in the fluid intake. Yun yung problema din, yung what is lost in our body na fluid at gano'n din kadami yung pumapasok sa katawan natin. Isa din yun ang fact, yung fluid, the intake natin, na pwedeng mag-cause din for cause ng exhaustion po.
Since binanggit nyo yung fluid intake, Dr. Joanne, when it comes to fluid intake, ano yung pinakamagandang fluids na dapat nasa loob ng katawan, especially kapag mainit na ang panahon?
Normally naman, for regular days, dapat nag-intake tayo lang at least 2 to 3 liters of water, standard water per day. But if we exercise or we do a lot of mas exhausting na activities, mas better tayo mag-replace ng mga electrolyte-containing na fluid. So we can, sports drinks, electrolyte replacements are also advised para lang mag-replace yung electrolytes din na lumalabas sa katawan natin aside from the fluid lang po.
Now, Dr. Helen, we all know that we have to be hydrated. Several glasses of water, especially during hotter days. But is there actually a case where you can drink too much water?
Depends on the condition that you have. Again, we will go and look back. If you have normal kidneys and normal heart condition, on a regular day, you're supposed to excrete it out. There's no problem with that. But then for some people who have the decreased capacity to sweat, who have kidney function problem, and also have heart condition problem, too much water is also bad because you can end up with congestion. So I would probably say a balanced act is needed. And of course, this will actually, for those with comorbid conditions, your doctor will be the best to advise you how much fluids are you allowed in every type of season that we have in the Philippines.
Dr. Joanne, sino-sino yung mga taong mas at risk, especially ngayon na summer days, ano, na mas mataas ang init or ang temperature? Who are those most at risk to fall under these conditions ng heat-related illnesses?
The elderly people are the most high risk for this heat-related illnesses po. Kasi elderly people, those who mentioned ni Doc na mga may comorbids, may mga problems sa kidneys or any diseases na may iniinom na gamot na could affect your fluid loss sa katawan or nagpapainit tayo in cases of mga cardiac disease and kidney diseases. Also, infants and children are also high risk for heat-related illnesses as well as yung mga taong pag-usapan natin yung mga trabaho naman, yung mga taong nagtatrabaho na-expose sa matagal na exposure sa sun. Or may any person who's working under the sun for prolonged hours, tapos hindi nakapainom ng tubig, these are the people also that have high risk for heat-related illnesses.
So we've talked about heat exhaustion for that matter, but what exactly is a heat stroke? And what do you need to do if someone is experiencing one? More on this when we return. We're your partner in healthcare. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, where caring is our calling. In a tropical country like ours, where many of us are exposed to long hours under the sun, under the heat, we're more vulnerable to a number of heat-related illnesses. One of the most serious ones is heat stroke. Dr. Helen, could you tell us what exactly is heat stroke? Paano umaabot sa ganitong condition?
Heat stroke is one of the most dreaded phase of heat-related illnesses because we do have so simple. I mean, all of us are under the sun. All of us are actually exposed to hot environment. So the simplest is the one yung nagkaka-sunburn, nagkaka-rashes, or sometimes nagkakaroon ng heat cramps when you actually exercise under a very hot condition. And those are considered mild. Heat stroke is the severe one, wherein when you actually have an imbalance in the thermal regulation because of the severe heat that your body generated, you actually reach 39, actually 40 degrees in some literature. And after which, you actually have confusional states. You are, para ka na-stroke eh. My husband had heat stroke. So that's why I can see that it's something that you cannot detect immediately. You have confusional states. Some people actually lose consciousness. They're very hot. And some people actually develop seizures. And they are actually very scary. And the only way that you can deal with heat stroke is to bring them to the hospital.
Dr. Helen, is time a factor here? Is time of the essence kapag heat stroke na ang pinag-uusapan? And could you talk more about yung mga simptomas, some of the red flags that a person might exhibit kapag malapit na siya or nasa heat stroke stage na siya?
So the temperature per se is one. Number two is perhaps yung sinasabi ko, headache, nausea, vomiting, or kaya weaknesses. And subsequently, it's actually a little bit alarming now when they actually reach heat stroke. Because at the time when they reach heat stroke, confused na sila. They actually cannot recognize, they could bump into walls, and you bring them to the hospital. What are the first aid you should do? Lower the temperature. Give a little bit water kung kayang i-tolerate. Try to wipe until we can lower the temperature about 38 degrees. A little bit of ice or pack of ice on the, sa singit, sa kilikili. Those are the things we can do to actually as first aid for heat stroke or heat exhaustion.
Pwede bang at risk ang isang tao for heat stroke kahit na wala siya sa ilalim ng araw, hindi siya naglalakad sa labas? Say, naglilinis siya ng isang bodega with poor ventilation.
Pwede din po. Poor ventilation, low humidity na lugar, pwede din yung prone. Pag pangit ng ventilation, pag sobrang init, na ganun pa din, it could also lead to exhaustion or heat stroke. So it's very important actually pag sinasabi na hindi naman natin alam yung agad hindi natin ma-detect. It's very important na alam natin or may idea tayo kung ano nangyari prior doon sa nangyari sa pasyente na either nawala ng malay or nahilo or biglang tumaas ng temperature.
If you have a condition that might affect your ability to cope with extreme heat, it might help to check the heat index and constantly monitor how you're feeling throughout your time under the sun or under the effects of heat. Dr. Helen, we're talking about the really serious effects of heat stroke, but let's take a few steps back a little bit and talk about dehydration this time. So when it comes to dehydration, a lot of people may also not be aware that they are already dehydrated. Kumbaga, umiinom lang sila ng tubig kapag nauuhaw. Is this a good practice to do?
It depends on the activity that you do. But you're right, Dr. Freddy. Probably we don't want them na iinom ng pag nauuhaw because the body functions has a necessity in terms of how much water you should actually take in. And then if thirst comes in, it means you are already lacking. So the 6 to 8 glasses of water is best to be maintained for the normal individual. Now, if you have work that actually entails exposure to high humidity or high heat, or even under the sun and coal mining, yung mga minero natin, those who work in kitchens that are in high heat, probably those who actually are working in the construction that are under the sun and probably under high heat too. They maybe have to increase the hydration they have to replace what was lost in the sweat and also what was evaporated due to their exposure to the heat.
Now, Dr. Helen, can dehydration also be seen probably in other things like the color of someone's urine? Is this could the color of someone's urine be a telltale sign of their level of dehydration?
Let's put it this way. Normal population, those with no comorbids, color of urine is actually a very good parameter to see because as long as you're hydrated, it should be light yellow, clear, hindi siya cloudy. But if, for example, you're dehydrated, automatically it becomes more cloudy and a bit darker. It might be a little bit on the orange side or a little bit on the coppery side, and you'll be a little bit worried. The amount of urine also matters because your urine is determined by the amount of fluid that you take in. So if you see that you are actually not urinating at all, you might need more fluids. You might not be giving your body enough fluids to actually replace what should be cleansing in terms of the urine.
Now, Dr. Joanne, when it comes to fluids na yung dapat nating inumin, we mentioned how much water people should take. But for these extra hot conditions, ang plain water ba ang best option natin when it comes to trying to prevent dehydration and more serious conditions?
For normal individuals who have no comorbidities or any cardiac problem or heart problem, those who are healthy individuals for exercising, who are having strenuous activities that are losing electrolytes, it's also best advice na pwede tayo mag-fluid replacement or yung electrolyte replacement. So there are available in the market that could also be drunk by these patients or these individuals to replace also the electrolyte that has been lost inside their body.
As with most conditions, prevention is the best cure. When we return, we'll talk about ways to protect ourselves and our loved ones from heat-related illnesses. Your health is our mission here on MedTalk Health Talk. We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk. Over the last few months, the Philippines experienced a record high heat index in some parts of the country. And as we brace for even hotter weather, there are steps we need to take to protect ourselves from heat-related illness. Nowadays, we need to practice proper hygiene and wear masks to protect ourselves from COVID-19. Dr. Joanne, but what precautions can we take to prevent heat-related illnesses naman?
Very important always, we should go out in the sun pag hindi masyadong sobrang mainit. Very important din yan. Isa din sa bagay is we have to protect ourselves. So, sa panahon ng init, we advise people na before lumabas ng bahay, dapat very comfortable yung clothes, hindi sobrang mainit kasi pwede din yung mag-cause additional na fluid loss. Pwede tayong for aside doon sa heat exhaustion or heat stroke, pwede din tayo magka-heat rash, magka-sunburn. So it's better that we use an umbrella Meron tayong wide brim hats. And then, important pag lumalabas tayo, we make sure it exposed tayo sa under sun, dehydrate ourselves well enough.
Now, Dr. Helen, summertime, a lot of people are out doing their sports, out and about, and one popular drink during these times while doing sports is the sports energy drink. What are some of the risks that these who use sports energy drinks during high heat environments, what should they know or what should they watch out for that matter?
I like to qualify those two types of drinks that actually athletes do drink when they actually conduct sports. One is the sports energy drink, which I think contains some stimulants and those to boost energy. The others are actually what we call electrolyte balanced drinks, and they are available in the market, for which they are fashioned so that they could sustain your hydration during the exercise. Those are two different things. For energy boost drinks that are meant to improve your activity by stimulants, I would probably say no if you are actually not used to it, because in the first place, they could increase your heart rate. And when your heart rate increases, so does your blood pressure. Your heat and generating capacity of the body also increase, making you more prone to sweat, making you more prone to a high heat energy condition, and therefore to heat stroke if you don't hydrate well.
What about those who enjoy an alcoholic beverage? While this may be refreshing, does this put an undue stress to the body, to the heart?
They're not actually a very good combination. The weather, the alcohol, and the exercise, because you dance. That's what you do in Boracay, right? Because your thermoregulatory, the ability of the body to adjust your body fluid is affected by alcohol. Number two, it could mask some symptoms. I mentioned headache is one of the symptoms, sometimes confusional states, if you're actually undergoing a heat stroke. So that's why we don't really advise you to actually take a lot of alcohol under hot weather, not unless you hydrate well. And again, pre-planning. I'm not saying don't enjoy, but pre-plan. Make sure you know that alcohol makes you sweat more, makes you do a lot of things more, and it could mask some symptoms. So make sure you're hydrated.
With these precautions, there's no reason we can't enjoy the summer season safely. Thank you, cardiologist Dr. Helen Ong Garcia and family medicine specialist Dr. Joanne Libon, for being with us today. We appreciate your time and your insight. But before we end, did you know that a 2021 study found that children's screen time increased during the pandemic? From an average of over 2 hours per day, it has now increased to an average of nearly 6 hours. In 2020, the Department of Health warned that students may experience mental and physical health concerns related to increased screen time, such as fatigue, headache, lack of motivation, avoidance, and procrastination. While online classes have become the norm, Andre Felix shows us a smart learning solution that will help young learners study better without compromising their health. Let's watch this.
The IdeaPad offers smart learning solutions perfect for students studying from home. Tell us about these solutions.
What we have here is the Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 3i. So we have the 14-inch and the 15-inch. And as well as the Slim 5i, they're both part of our thin and light portfolio. And they're powered by the Intel Core i processors and Windows 11. We have three main key aspects of the software. Let's start with super resolution. When you toggle it on, it basically upscales that video. You also have number two, smart AI noise cancelling. You can set it up so that it will only pick up the voices from in front of the laptop. We also have Lenovo Aware. It's a collection of 4 different functions. You have attention reminders, break reminders, posture and distance reminders. So part also of the smart learning suite is we also have smart Wi-Fi, smart background blur, and then you also have smart login. And then finally you have Lenovo iCare. LCD panels have low blue light technology built into these screens.
Why do you think it's important for parents to provide devices with such technology to their children, especially with the new normal that we're in right now?
We have more screen time than ever. Not only us as the professionals, but even our kids. It's important for them to still monitor their health and make sure that they're productive, but still their well-being should be prioritized as well. For interested consumers, they can go to their nearest Lenovo Experience stores in their favorite malls. They can check out Lenovo Philippines official page in Lazada and Shopee.
As we adjust and continue to cope with the new normal, The Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 3i and the IdeaPad Slim 5i can be the learner's companion as they realize their full potential.
I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this has been MedTalk Health Talk. We'll see you again next time.